So a lot of traders have issues with respecting their plan in trading. They have a plan that they've written down. They might find a strategy online. They think it's really good. But when it comes to trading it live in the market, they have issues with trading it correctly, following the strategy 100% all the time. And it happened, we just did a video on this in our Ultimate Platform Trading Program. It's a program we have to teach people how to get funded. We do these mastermind calls every month to kind of go over some topics, give them some more knowledge about how to do things in the market, how to practice their skills. And this call was all about how to respect your plan all the time, respect your trading rules, follow them all the time in the market. So I'll let you listen to the whole thing and extract of it. So how to stick to your trading plan all the time, guaranteed. Let's dive right in.
There's 10 examples here, really how to get your trade compliance up. And after I go over each one, and I'll do it rather quickly, start to think in your head, how am I doing in this particular strategy? How am I doing in this tool? And maybe it's not for you, but you know what? There's going to be 3 or 4 that you absolutely hit your sweet spot, and then you want to put in your development plan and put a plan together how I'm going to get it accountable, which is one of them. Okay. So first is, how do we get our trade compliance up to 100%? Before we look at all the things about accountability and all the stuff like that, how about our strategy? What is the level of understanding that you have with your strategy and how to execute it? You know, I see these trading plans, and if you understand it, great. But I'm always a big believer in simplicity and the fact that you can explain it to a young teenager, and for the most part, they'll be able to understand it. All right. So how can you effectively execute your strategy if you really don't understand it and you really don't have the ability to execute it properly all the time? If you got a lot of little tweaks and all these little nuances attached to it, it's going to affect your compliance because you're not going to be able to understand how to execute it. So taking a step back, saying, is my strategy executable and can I execute it? Okay, sort of a simple thing. You'd be amazed how these next 10, the first one is one of those little hard breaks to say, you know what, Mike, I'm 0 for 1 already. So think about that. Number 2, kind of 1A, is your strategy written and explainable? Okay. And I really want to focus on the explainable because written is something that some people just resonate with it, and like myself, but can I explain it? Right. And I see a lot of, strategies and stuff. And quite honestly, I can't understand them, but that's okay. If you can understand them, that's great. But are they explainable? So think about that. Right. And what the solution to that is, maybe I can simplify my strategy and not have any impact on my results. Possibly. Again, this is a question mark that I want you to, a takeaway that I want you to think about. Number 3, execution. So we have our back test, provides a positive edge over a valid sample, and now I'm going to execute it. How good are you? How good are you at executing it? Right? And by the way, it's maybe not your fault, but can you identify the setups as they are occurring? What about all the filters that you have? Do you have too many? Are you able to handle them? Can you identify them? Right? What about the quirky nuances that come with that as well? I use that word a lot, and I know some people I chat with a lot on Slack are, they're probably shaking their heads. But what do you mean by the nuances? All right. If you have a certain strategy, like maybe a trend-based strategy, like a secretariat, and maybe the nuance is, okay, it meets all the requirements, but wait a second, we've just had a huge news event that created a huge red bar. I mean, it meets all the criteria, but am I aware that that kind of dilutes my sort of edge? Maybe it doesn't. Right? These are little quirky things. Right? So execution. If you want to get to 100% trade compliance, there's no question that you have to be able to execute it. And by the way, an algo, a tool, whatever, the ability to execute is very, 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 very important. It kind of just makes sense, right? Number 4, focus. In order to get to a high level of compliance, what is your pre-market plan? What is your pre-market strategy? To me, as a trader, 90% of my work is done before the quote market even opens. All right. And FX, I mean, I'm always referring to it as, the London or New York market open. All right. In the morning, are you focused for the trading day? Do you know what you have to do? Are you prepared? Or are you stumbling in 2 minutes before, pushing, turning your computer on and going right to the charts, right? Executing compliance is having a pre-market plan. And maybe it's similar most days, but maybe there's a couple quirky things, particularly news events and stuff like that, that's going to alter your daily approach to things, right? Am I going to hold? Am I going to trail? I know a lot of people ask me, do you trail? Well, sometimes. Well, what do you mean sometimes? Well, my pre-market plan says, you know what? Today's a day where I'm just going to take stiff targets because of X and Y in my plan, right? So it's that level of focus that will help you get towards your compliance. Right? Number 5, accountability. This is something I want everyone to think about if they're not doing this already. One of the beautiful things about this business is we don't have a boss. One of the things that sucks about this business is we don't have a boss. All right. So when you place your trades, all right, I want you to think, even if it's for half a second, do it as if you're trading a multi-million-dollar account at a firm and the risk manager or the boss is standing right behind you. All right. Are you going to push the button? Is it going to be different now? Or are you going to think twice and make sure your boxes are checked before you enter the trade? All right. Remember, we get paid for compliance per se, not results. And if you're funded or you work for a prop firm, or if you ever, trading family office money, it's really what we're doing. We are paid to execute a plan. Okay. Don't worry about the results. So the accountability is really important. And I think there's a big opportunity for a lot of people here where just take that pause, take that step and say, all right, is there someone behind me saying, if I push this button, they're going to say, what the heck are you doing? Think about that. Again, we're our own boss, so we have to kind of do it ourselves. How are we doing so far, right? It's a little heavy. It sounds like a simple topic, but it's a lot of twists and turns to this. And I want you to find the 2 or 3 or 4 that really resonate with you. Number 6, assurance. All right, and this is kind of right in Alex's sweet spot. Double check before you click. All right, ask yourself, is this compliant with my plan? I do this all the time. I've been doing this for many years. And I have to tell you, I still do this. If I click the button, it better be compliant. All right. And I'm going to show you a solution how to assure that even more in a few minutes. Right? Before you click, just ask yourself, is this okay? If you have multiple strategies and you're about to click the button, do you know which one it is? Do you know where your entry and stop is, or where your target and stops are before you click the button? All right. Knowing that when you click that button, it's going to be a Y in your compliance box on your trade journal, you're good. All right. Sometimes it's just that extra double check. All right. And number 7, this is really Alex's sweet spot. Use the checklist. Okay. And I say, really use it. Some people just can be assured by saying number 6, okay, this is compliant. It's this strategy. I'm going to do it. But if you have a checklist, kind of AKA SMB Capital's, playbook kind of stuff, you go through the checklist. Is this my strategy? Does it comply? Is there any part of this entry that's wrong? Should the entry be here instead of here? Check, 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 check. Once all the boxes are checked, now you can push the button and you can assure yourself 100% trade compliance. All right. If you don't have all the checks or the minimum required check boxes listed, then by definition, you're not compliant. And if you push the button, you deserve to get a red mark. So use the checklist, really use it. If that's something that you think would help you. It's kind of old school, but it really works. Okay? And by the way, as traders have been doing this a long time, whether it's sort of mentally or in a journal or visually, like actually have a sheet of paper, just like the traders did on the floor with these little piece of paper sheet. That's kind of like their documentation. Number 8, accountability, right? Submit it to a partner, a trade buddy, Trello, journal. When you take that action before the trade, you become sort of self-accountable by doing it. There's nothing like telling someone what you're doing before you do it that kind of leads to accountability. I have a couple, small groups that we have in our Slack, and I also, have in our general Slack thing. I don't necessarily what I'm trading, but I kind of spit out what my game plan is for the day and things like that. It's part of me being compliant. It's kind of self-serving in a sense, a little selfish, but I'm trying to help everyone, but really it's kind of making me more accountable to what my game plan is that day. I know we have people in the room today that do the same thing, and I think it's helped them a lot as well, whether it's in the Slack or using a journal, whatever it is. Right? Make yourself more accountable by getting somebody else engaged. And by the way, let that partner or whoever it is, trading buddy, call you out if it's not. Don't just have someone who's going to be a yes person. And you should do the same. You're only helping them. Okay. This is something, number 9, personally, that I do all the time that really has got me into the mid to upper 90s. This is the one change I made that really, really helped me. And maybe it's for you, maybe it's not. When I go into my journal, I enter the core trading parameters before I enter the trade. So similar to a checklist where I'm checking boxes, I'm actually, when I see my setup, and again, this is not on a 1-minute scalp or anything, but if I see my setup, I'm actually going to put the core parameters into my trade journal, the pair, the date, the setup, the strategy. All right. Because if I have multiple strategies, I want to identify that. The entry, where it's going to be, and this and that. And I put all those parameters in. All right. And I'll literally put like compliance Y. And then if for some reason, if the trade doesn't enter, I just delete it. I just, clear it out. But by putting it in before the trade, I'm almost making a commitment in my trade journal, which is sort of like my Bible, right, of accountability. So I'm already putting it in there. So once I enter the trade, then I just like put the entry price in. Like I'm kind of pre-filling it out. To me, that helped me so much. That really was the game changer for me. Again, of the 10, maybe other ones are for you, but that really, there's something about doing it beforehand where you're like, do I really gonna put no N in the compliance section now? That doesn't make sense.
Hope you got some value out of it. Michael is really good about teaching this stuff, giving you some advice about how to follow your plan, all about risk management. Hope you got some value out of it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I want to hear what you think of this. If you like it, give it a like. I would really appreciate this a lot. It shows YouTube like this kind of videos. It shows me I can make more of those. Again, this is a paid training. You're getting it here for free in this video. And I'll catch you back here in the next video pretty soon. Ciao.